Spring is here and it's time for the rally and bike season. First stop, Jacksonville. We'll be going through North Carolina, of course, that's where we're starting, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. So come with me on this exciting adventure, and away we go! Don't want to be caught short on this trip. So we've got a spare tank of gas, helmet, jacket, gloves, bags packed full of stuff that I probably need along the way. This is gonna be fun. We are on our way to Jacksonville, Florida for a weekend of scooter riding with the Seven Bridges crew. I've got a long way to go, so I'm not dawdling. I'm hopping on Interstate 77. Very quickly I find myself in South Carolina. There's a few things I like about South Carolina. The cheap liquor, the crazy fireworks, also the cheap gas. I better fill up before I hop on 77. An hour south of where I am in Columbia, hopping on the 26, making my way over to Route 95. Route 95 is a crazy road. It's long. It's 3,096 miles. It starts in Miami and it finishes up in Maine on the New Brunswick-Canadian border. My first port of call was going to be Savannah, Georgia. Gorgeous city. So many cool places to eat. But first, I got to find a place to camp out for the night. When you're traveling with this much stuff, it takes a while to pack and unpack. Check this out. Still not done. And I had to take the spare tank of gas with me. It was kind of dangerous, and the room stunk like gas all night. This is not a Savannah video, that's a separate video altogether. But this place is absolutely stunning. Great places to eat, so historic. Forsyth Park. This majestic 30-acre park named for Georgia's 33rd governor has it all. The city's most famous fountain, installed in 1858, and is modeled after the fountains at the Palais de la Concorde in Paris. I was up and at 'em early next morning in Savannah, heading down to Jacksonville. This time, I fancied taking the scenic route. But first, I gotta get me some breakfast. Now, for my non-US friends, the Waffle House is something of a, let's just say, an iconic restaurant here in the south of the US. Delicious breakfast and dinners also. Enjoy. Before you ask me, it wasn't scattered or smothered or covered or chunked.
Do you need some more coffee, dear?
Oh, yes, please. Thank you. Thank you. I took the back roads through Georgia, making my way down to Jacksonville. Canopied roads with Spanish moss. The back roads led me back to my old friend, Interstate 95, crossing the border into Florida. And Jacksonville Beach was going to be my home for the weekend, for the next 3 days. Goodness gracious me, would you look at this. Welcome to Jacksonville, Florida. A wonderful weekend ahead of us. Look at this weather. First of all, this weather is spectacular. This view is outrageous. And a weekend of scootering and Vespa riding and making friends here for the Seven Bridges scooter ride with the Jacksonville crew. It's going to be so much fun. So meet and greet. Then we've got a a ride to somewhere. There's like 1 or 3 rides I'm going on. I'm going to end up at a barbecue place, a nice long ride with a big group. You get a chance to meet some new folks and make some friends in the community. That's going to be so much fun. And then we've got the big one. We've got the Seven Bridges ride with all the dorks. We're going to have so much fun with this kind of weather, and I tell you, yeah. After de-stressing and taking it easy on the beach, I went to the meet and greet. I knew I was in the right place. There were scooters everywhere. Just as I'm making my way inside to the meet and greet, my buddy Nathan shows up from Charlotte, and he tells me about the accident he just got into. Check his story out. Perfect timing! Did you just get here? No, I've been here for a while. Perfect timing, just taking videos. He just got here from Charlotte.
I just got here.
How crazy is that?
It's been a long day.
No kidding. How long did it take you?
Well, it's hard to say because I got rear-ended in South Carolina.
Oh my God, where?
Somewhere in South Carolina, I don't know. If you look around the other side, you can see what happened.
Golly. Oh my goodness gracious me. Take a look at that.
So.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I think I'll be fine. And actually, I was literally compelled last night. I got up at like 12:30 and went out to the garage and cut up a piece of the one of my other jackets that has back armor, and I cut up the back armor so it would fit in here last night at 12:30 because I normally don't ride with it. And when I got hit, I fell smack on my back and I had back armor in. So how awesome is that?
That's crazy. So as we enter into this establishment where the meet and greet is going on, I am meeting, I am greeting, and I am making new friends. Barry!
Hello!
Hey, look at this. He's all decked out. He's like the very king and queen.
Yeah.
Barry did the, Oh, and there's a bag too? Look at this. Oh yeah. He didn't choose a life, that life chose him. And he did the cannonball last year. And he's doing it again.
I am.
Cheers.
Cheers.
The next morning, we were up and at 'em early for a group ride. Gotta fill up before we go on a long ride. I thought I got there a tad early, but not before long. The crowd started to gather. We had 50 riders that morning, going on 3 separate rides. Every fun and safe ride has got excellent organization. Everybody knows where everybody needs to be at whatever time, and the group there from Jacksonville ran a tight show. We got the lowdown here as to what's happening and who's going where. Terrific job. Terrific.
I thought you were going to the barbecue.
So was I. I thought I was going to barbecue too.
Oh, well, just go.
I like the sound of this ride as well. And I get to hang out with you guys. So, it worked out. So here we are. We broke off into groups and we're riding around Jacksonville. I picked the one where we're going to go for barbecue. It was our turn to go, and we were all making our way over to the restaurant. But along the way, we stopped off at some fascinating points of interest. One of these places was Kingsley Plantation. I got a chance to talk to one of the park rangers, and I learned a lot from him. It was such an interesting stop. This was such an interesting stop. The Kingsley Plantation has a fascinating history. You gotta listen to this story. I'm here with John at the plantation. What's the name of our plantation here?
Kingsley Plantation.
Kingsley Plantation. And how big is this plantation?
Originally it was 600 acres.
Goodness gracious.
So by comparison, that was a fairly modest plantation.
Okay.
Others that he owned, one of which is Laurel Plantation, which is now Orange Park, was about 10 times that size.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
And how many people, how many folks were living on this plantation at any one time on average?
On average, between 100 and 150.
And how do we know that?
Because we can count the number of slave houses that are still in existence. 25 of them are still in existence out of the original 30.
Oh, okay. So there were 30 slave houses before. Yes. There's 25 existing. Right. And this area here, this is the main house? Like, how did it work?
They call this the planter's house. This was the main residence of the owner.
Oh, and the owner married kids?
Well, funny story. The plantation was managed by his wife, who was 30 years younger, who he bought as a slave when she was 13. He was 41. She was from a leading tribe in Senegal. She was snatched when she was 13. Her parents owned a massive plantation and their own slaves in Senegal. So she was soon put in charge of running the plantation because she had the experience.
She had the experience. Yes. And they had a slave plantation back in Senegal.
They did.
And she came over and ran this place here with her husband?
With her husband, yes. Well, they were sort of married according to the African tradition. But when she was freed, when she turned 18, she was freed by her husband, owner, and her first demand was to have her own house with her own slaves. So she had a certain independent spirit to her.
Fascinating. And so what do they grow here? Cotton?
Their main cash crop was Seaside cotton, which is a very expensive, very fine form of cotton.
That's different from regular old farm cotton?
It's much more, it's like comparing a normal cotton to silk.
I see.
Much finer, much more expensive.
And so she ran this place with, I'm sure not by herself, I'm sure she had...
Well, she had the 100 or so slaves.
Right.
She was a former slave. She literally spoke their language.
And those slaves came from other places, not just
West Africa.
West Africa?
Yeah, there's one...
They had their own language?
There's one particular spot, which is where the slaves were, when they were captured, they were put in a prison on an island off the coast by whoever their captors were, and
here
made available for sale to the slave ships that would come by.
Oh, so there was a halfway island?
The slaves were rounded up by other warring African tribes. And they realized that they had a monetary value, so they would wait for a slave ship to show up, and they would sell the slaves, mostly for either liquor or gunpowder was the commodity.
Right. Interesting. Well, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
I learned a lot. Thank you. What's the significance? So was there any advantage to being near the water in terms of food sustenance?
He was a slave trader, so he had a fleet of ships. So this was the I-95 interchange back then. We're right at the mouth of the St. Johns River, and offshore is the Gulf Stream. So if you were a trader, this was, the place to be.
Goodness gracious! Right, I'm going to go around the side with my camera and take a look. See, thanks a lot, John.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Take care.
After that, we headed off on our way to get lunch. And there I was thinking I was going to go for barbecue. Sliders Seaside Grill. Such a cool place. Right on the beach. Live music, a fantastic vibe. The food was amazing. Such a cool place. Russ! And I thought I had met everyone the night before at the meet and greet. It was nice to make new friends. And it was nice to see what they looked like under a helmet. The next morning was up and at 'em super early. Gas up, get some food inside you, because today is going to be a long day. Today's the day that we ride the 7 bridges of Jacksonville. Everyone's here and everyone's ready. But before we take off, I want to know more about this Jacksonville crew, the 7 Bridges Scooter Club. So I had a chat with Russ Dixon, one of the organizers.
7 Bridges Scooter Club has been it's not really business because it's not an entity per se. We've been around for 20 years. This is our 20th year. This is the 11th year we have done this particular Bridges ride.
How did it all start?
It started with a guy who was a scooter mechanic working on vintage scooters, and people would just hang around the shop and started riding. And it kind of grew and it morphed and did this and did that. And now he moved away and the vintage scoots are pretty much not a thing anymore. And now we've got 50 members and we ride probably 10 times a month.
Wow.
Somewhere.
Wow.
Take long distance trips.
Wow.
There'll be 50 people on this ride here today. This is a great, safe bunch. It's a little bit older bunch of people. So they got it together up here, I think.
Yeah.
No crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're ever in Jacksonville and looking for somebody to ride with, look up Seven Bridges Scooter Club on Facebook.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Russ. Thanks so much, man.
You bet, buddy.
Woo-hoo, Scott, tell me about your scooter. What do you have going on there? Yours a red one with the...
2008 Vespa 250 GTS.
How many miles?
37,000 plus.
Now, you've got a fancy map down here. What's this map of the country all about?
So these are all the states that this machine has been in with me on it.
Fantastic. The ones in red, not so.
Correct.
The colored ones, yes. But you've got Nevada there.
I got Nevada.
In red.
In red, I'll pick up these two states during this cannonball.
Fantastic.
And then lobby to go like this for the next cannonball.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You got New Mexico there too?
I got
Arizona, the whole lot.
Yep.
No Louisiana?
No Louisiana, so we might have to take a weekend trip.
Oh.
New Orleans.
Count me in.
New Orleans.
Count me in. You know me. My answer to everything is I'm in.
That's it.
Nice. All right. I'm in. Here's where Russ is going to give us the lowdown for the day.
All right, everybody gather around.
And give us instructions as to where we're going to go, who's going to do what, where we're going to stop. Fantastic organization. I got a chance to get to see all the bridges, and hopefully you're going to get a chance to see them with me on this video.
So we're going to leave here in groups of mostly like-sized bikes, best we can. The first bridge we're going to go is right over here. It's the Buckman. It is probably the flattest and longest and fastest of the bridges. Because if you ain't doing wide open, they're going to pass you. But that's Jacksonville and any place else probably. Then we're going to take a stop for a few moments at Stockton Park, not far north of the bridge, just to have a scenic look at the river. Do that for a few minutes, and then we start snaking our way through town to the Fuller Warren Bridge, the Acosta Bridge. Then we're going to go to what's known as the Matthews Bridge, and because we like it so much, we're going to do a loop and come back over it, so we're on the right side of the river. We hit the Hart Bridge. We take a potty/gas stop and a speedway just off of that bridge. Then we go back to town, go over the Main Street Bridge, which has some grading on it, so just be aware of that. Then we head out north, and we'll eventually work our way on Extra Drive over to the Dames Point Bridge, and some of you went on that yesterday. It is the tallest bridge. It is also fast because it and the Buckman are both on the interstate highway system. After that, we're going to go to make an historic stop at Ribault Monument in Arlington. It gets back to where this whole country got started in many ways. After that, we work our way to Seven Bridges Restaurant for lunch. We get done with lunch, everybody take off, head home. We do this early enough so the ones coming from out of town have a shot at getting home the same day.
And with that, an incredible weekend is chalked up to the ages. What a great weekend. Thanks, Russ. Thank you, everybody in Jacksonville. Now it's time to head home. I'm back on my old friend 95, heading back to North Carolina. Of course, I had to gas up a few times, but I was so looking forward to gassing up at Buc-ee's. This place has to be seen to be believed. I was lucky I had a chance to ask some questions of one of the managers there. I wanted to know more about Buc-ee's. How many pumps do we have here?
120.
And you're going to add another 20...
Well, the Tesla charging station's already out there.
And how many do you have right now?
I believe they're 20, I want to say 20, but don't quote me on it.
Okay, and then you're going to add more?
No, not right now.
Okay. 120, world's largest car wash in Katy, Texas, and there are 40 stores around the country opening up.
Well, we've got total. We also have smaller stores in Texas,
Okay, I see.
so they're not all the traditional travel center.
Okay, so this is a special travel center. They're
Yes,
not all like this.
No, we do have smaller stores in the Texas area.
Well, like gas
Angleton,
stations and things like
kind
that?
of like a typical convenience
Okay,
store, smaller.
like a
like a Chevron.
like a Sheetz.
I'm not familiar with Sheets.
Oh,
Like a
Circle K.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
so there's Circle K's and there are these large travel centers. How many of these large travel centers are there around the country?
27 will be. Our 27th will open next month in Auburn, Alabama.
All right, good luck. Congratulations, and thanks so much.
And the world's largest convenience store is in Texas. Currently,
It's also a Buc-ee's?
it's a Buc-ee's, and it is 20. I'm drawing a blank on that size. I want to say it's 60,000 square feet, and then we're opening a store in Sevierville, Tennessee. That will be the new largest, and that's going to be 75,000 square feet.
Goodness gracious, how big is this one?
This one is 54,000.
It's still enormous. It's enormous.
So we're going to add 20,000 square feet on to the next one.
Great. Great, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dale. It's been a long day of riding. I'm nearly there. I gotta get to Wilmington, then back to Carolina Beach. I'm taking the long way home. This is also a pretty city. Well worth a stop with a fascinating history. One last bridge on this ride, and it's the Sea Breeze Bridge. This is the bridge that takes us over Snowscut and takes us over to Pleasure Island. It takes us over to Carolina Beach. Takes me back to home sweet home. Oh, bumpy ride. They're paving the road. And here we are finally home.
Buffety! Buffety! Habibi!
Best reception ever from the Puffin.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.